Now, the previous tutorials that I've done on Kanban boards were pretty heavy and work intensive. So I thought I'm just going to go back to basics and do something very simple today. So this is using the standard Microsoft formatting, so that'll be quite easy to do. I'm just doing some basic highlight. When a task is late, I highlight it. When the task is completed, I highlight it. And I'm introducing also more slices, but that's also very simple to do, where you can select tasks that are in progress or not started or the likes. And you have a very simple chart. I'll show you how to integrate a logo as well, and also a title with some fancy colors if you want. So that'll be a very simple demo today. Now, first we need to create two tabs. The first tab will be the task list tab, and we create the table here, and I will walk you through it. But before that, we create another tab. It's called the parameters tab that will allow us to put some values here that we can reuse, that will allow us to be flexible with what we're doing. So the first one is a status, and I've decided to go with 3 statuses. You can create more or less if you like. So the first one will be not started. The second one will be in progress. And the third one will be completed. And for the task type, it could be anything. If it's work-related, obviously, you can put some work types. But here I've decided to go broader. For instance, I would have work, home, fitness, family, anything can go here. I'll just be centering this. I will be reviewing this later on, but just to get us started. Actually, this I don't want to put in bold, so we can... While you're here, if you want to give some headings a little bit fancy, you can put that in the dark color with a white font. And I'm just going to use the Format Painter to do the same here. What I like to do also is remove the grid lines. Especially when I show my work to people, it makes it easier to understand. Now, the task list tab, I've created some 8 columns here. You might want to have those to start with, or you might want to change those. So the first one is the task name. This is where you will input your task name. Thank you, Ben. Yes, estimate, optional, but you can put some numbers here. To start with, I would have days, just to give me an idea of how big the task is, for instance. Urgent, if you want to be fancy here, you can do some data validation. So you click on data validation here, and you allow a list, and here you will hard-code it. The source will be you hard-coding it here. Make sure you have a comma between the values that you want to allow. I would have yes, no. You want to have maybe, you can have maybe in as well if you like. So you drag it down first while it's empty, and after you can put the value here. Due by, no, that will be a date. So for instance, I put 1st of December 2026. Why not? Task type, so this is where we'll be referring to the table we have just created. So data validation, allow for a list, and in the source I click, and parameters, I've just selected all these. You can also select the blanks. When you have the blanks, it will just have only one at the bottom, and then you can extend your selection criteria if you like. And here the same, I'm just going to drag it down, and after I will be coming back up, selecting one, let's say home. Status, we're going to do the same. Data validation, list, click on source, go to parameters, and select the 3 statuses that we have pre-selected here. Drag it down, select one, not started. Update and notes, those are notes, I would say. Update, good progress or something along those lines. And notes required for task XXX, for instance. It's completely optional, completely up to you. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to put that in bold, this way here, because now we want to use Microsoft formatting as much as possible. So I'll be selecting the whole table here, and I will be going at Format Table, and here I'll be going on the dark side, the dark mode, and I will be selecting the second one. I think this one is okay. Make sure that you have My Table Has Header clicked, and you press OK here. Okay. So this is done very quick using Microsoft. Perfect. Now I'm going to go away and input more tasks so it's easier to show you how we can go to the next steps. Here you go. So I just added some more tasks. By the way, something that I noticed not a lot of people are aware of is when I want to add an element to the table, they usually do right click and they do insert and they say table row above or below and the likes. But a much easier way is just to start tapping under. So you just put a new task here, task 02, and Microsoft automatically recognize that you want to add data to the table and it would add it. So that's something that is good to know. Okay, now I want to go back here. So there is something I would like to do before we move on to the next step is to do a bit of a conditional formatting on this. And just as an example, I'm going to show you how you can highlight here the dates of the tasks that are late. So I'm just going to be selecting all the dates here. I'm just going to go under conditional formatting and I'm going to create a new rule. I'm going to use a formula and I'm just going to put equal here. And I'm going to put an and because I want to put several criteria here. The first criteria I want to put is I want to make sure that there is a task in here. So I'm just going to click on task. I'm going to press F4 until all the dollar values are removed because I want the conditional formatting to slide as I go down the list here. So I want this to be not equal to blank. The second test that I want is I want to make sure that the task is not completed. Because if the task is completed, it doesn't really make sense to highlight the tasks that are late, obviously. So I'm just going to select the status here, remove all the dollar signs by pressing F4, and I'm just going to say this is not different from, and I'm going to be going to the table here, and press completed. Otherwise, you would have to type completed, and if this changes, then you are not in a good place. Now, the third condition will be the most important one, I suppose, is that the date that we have here is before today. That means it's late. Once again, I'm just going to press F4 until all the dollars disappear. It's like going shopping. Okay, and then you say this is before smaller than today. So it's in the past and we haven't finished yet. And today, it's actually the Excel formula is called today as well, but don't forget to put empty brackets after it. So this is it. I have my three conditions: task not blank, not completed, and the date in the past. And then I'm clicking on format and I'm just going to select a beautiful blue, the third blue here from the top, from the right, and the first from the top. That makes sense. I'm just going to do the fill. I'm going to press OK, OK, and I'm going to check if it works. Okay, so this one is not highlighted because it's completed. This one is behind. This one's 2026. It seems to be working beautifully. I will be also formatting the status here. So I'm just selecting this, conditional formatting. And this time I'm just going to go to the text that contains, highlights and rules text that contains. And here, cells that contain the text, and here I will be going to the parameters again, and I'm going to click on completed, but I don't want this red here to show. I'm just want to have another custom format instead. I'll be selecting this orange color here, but I want to put it lighter for the fill, this way, and for the font, I want to select it again, and more colors, and I want it darker for the font, which makes sense, I think. Okay, pressing OK, OK, and that seems to be working. So let's try this one completed. It's working. Okay. This is it. Now I have done this part using mostly the Microsoft things. Not a lot of work has been done manually. Now, what we want to do is to insert slices. I'm going to add a little bit of space at the top, this way. So the way we insert slicers is we go under Insert here, and we have an area under Filters, we have Slicer. So if I do it now while I'm clicking here outside the table, and click on slices, and he wants the connections, data models, and all that stuff, and think, ooh, this is not right. So you go back here and you click on the table itself. You have to click on the table so Microsoft understands that when you click on the slicer, you see this list here. So this is where you can select what you want slicer off. So here I'm taking urgent, for instance. That will give me a nice slicer with urgent. So your formatting might be different, so you might want to change the formatting if you want. And I will be selecting another slicer, insert, slicer, and I will be putting status. This way, I can select the status that I want. I can select only the one in progress, for instance. There you go. So I have already that done. I wanted to add a chart here as well with in progress, not started, and completed. So I'll be going back to the parameters here. And here I already have those values listed. I just need to do a count, a right count. So it's really crystal clear then. Okay, just do this. Agreed. And I will be doing a Countif. The very useful Countif function, which allows you to count in a range how many elements meet one specific criteria. So the range that we want here is the status itself. We're selecting this range. We're going back under parameters. No, we have to go back here without clicking, I suppose, otherwise it gets a little bit confused. Lesson learned. Okay, and here what do we want? We want to put the comma, and we're going back on parameters now, and we want to click on status here. Now you've noticed that they put table 1 status, which is the table that we have created. It doesn't put you, give you a cell range. In understand, it's all the status column here. So if I just close it here, referring to the status on the left, press enter, and that is counting me how many nodes started we have. Just put that center and bold. How many nodes started do we have? Not started. Actually, if I use this, select not started only, we have 2, so that's okay. I don't know if I've told you how to use the slices. I can spend a bit of time on that later on. Not started here. So here, if I just slide it down, that should, as it's, as it's referring to the cell on the left, it should tell me there is 9 in progress and 4 completed. So we have done that. Now that we have done that, we can do a simple chart. I'm just selecting those 6 cells. We put insert, recommended charts, selecting once again Microsoft default that we will be changing a little bit. We take it here. Yes, that looks okay. I'm just doing a cut and I will be pasting it here. Here I'm pasting it here. What I like to do is to right click on the charts, format data series, and here I'm putting a gap width, or let's say 100. That depends on your opinion of this, but I like to do this. What I want to do is I want to be a little bit consistent with this blue here. So I'm just going to be selecting those series, putting format, shape fill, and I will be putting a light blue here. I will be clicking on the chart title and I will be deleting it. I don't need it, we know what it is. And I will be also clicking on the left axis, vertical axis, and deleting it. Because I will be right-clicking on this and I will be adding the data labels, add data labels, and they are on top. So here you can put them as big as you like by going back to the home tab. I like to have them nice and bold. And you click on the grids if you want to get rid of them, not on the chart, just on the grids, and then you press delete again. So what I want to do now is I want to have the completed in a different color to be a little bit consistent here. So I'm just clicking on the one, make sure that there is only the completed selected. Going back here, and here I can select the same color actually that is still here. Now you might notice it's a bit dull, difficulty standing out, so you might want to put some border on this. Format, shape outline, you select deep blue, so that will put you a deep blue to everything, but this one you might, if you're fussy, optional, shape outline, you might want to put the same dark than this one here around. Okay, let me go under view and remove the grid line once again. So I want everything to look a little bit consistent. So what I'll be doing is I'll be clicking on the chart, going under format, And the shape outline, I want to put roughly the same blue that is outside here. I'll be putting a dark blue here, so it should all look a little bit the same. Actually, fail. Shape outline, something darker. Oh, that's much better. That's much closer. Okay, so this is roughly the status here where we add with our tasks. Now I said I'll give you a quick training on this before we go back to the last part. Status, very easy. You click one, select only one. To get rid of selection, press the red cross here. And if you want to select two, you can just click on this saying, okay, I'm going to select two. Oh, here, obviously, everything, let me start from scratch. Here, you want to say, I want to select several ones here. So here, I select only those two here. And if you want to go back to the full view, click on the red. Okay, that's it for the training here. Now, I was mentioning that you can add logo. Some people ask me, how do I ask my own logo? So I'm just going to give you an example here. I'm just going to insert a picture. Usually logos are in picture. You can put it in cell, but I prefer to have it over cells because that gives me more options on how I will be formatting the logo. So here I'm just going to go on my device. I will be inserting a pic. It has to be. It can be rough, and after you can obviously change it to your needs. So I'm just going to select this logo here, my logo, and I will be trying to fit it here. I will be putting the same border, picture border, same border that I have for everything, so it's a little bit consistent. But I'm going to try to soften it a little bit. So you go under crop to shape. And if you want, you can change the shape here. And what I like to do is to have the rounded rectangle here. And then by using this, you can have it as soft as you like. And then finally, if you want to add some shadow, picture effect shadow, and you can add any effect that you like. So you're on your own for that. I just like to have a little bit of shadow here, so it drags a bit of attention, I suppose. Now, here you are. So if I click on one of those and then press Ctrl A, that will select all the graphs that I have used. You go under Shape Format, you go under Align and Distribute Horizontally. That will make sure that there is the same space between each one of those. And then you need to ensure that it's all at the same height. Looks okay. Now I will be adding more something at the top here. There are ways to log this, but that's probably for another tutorial. I said I'll keep this one simple. Now first, insert, shape, and once again, I like the rounded rectangles, and you put them here on top. I mean, you could put your logo in there also if you like, I suppose. You could have done that. But here I'm just going to put task list for project ABC, say, okay. And here you can put whatever font you like. Bold, go big, center. Now, well, I like to put some different types of, of font here, so we don't think that we are in Excel, although it looks a little bit obvious. What I like is the bench script one. I think they look quite professional, and you have several types of bench script. You have the semi-bold, condense, semi-bold. So it's all very, very strange, but I like this. So I've also mentioned the gradient here. So you can have some gradients. Shape fill, you can take the default gradients, but they're usually not very intense. And then after you go onto this side here, you cannot see my screen fully, but this allows you to change the colors of the gradient. So the one on the left, say, I'm just going to put more a lighter blue. I'm just going to put it to the extreme so you can see. And then I'll do that on the other side, lighter green as well. It might not be very beautiful, but it's just to make a point, I suppose, that you can have some variety here. Actually, let me just put this one maybe a bit more subtle. There you go. So as mentioned, if you wanted, you could just put your logo here instead. This is graphic design, not really my specialty, but if you have a color consistent and it's just some colors that stand out, I think you're doing a good job already. And as this is obviously the Microsoft default, then you can change it. You can go there, hurt your eyes a little bit, but if you have enough of the blue, you can go back here. Now the challenge is you would have some discrepancies with what's on top, but this is just an option. I put you back here. Okay, so now we can, when we change this, we can see the graph that changes. We can just select our different criteria that we want here, and we are good to go. So this is it. This was a very simple task list. If you want some more complex task lists, please have a look at on my channel. I have plenty of those. I've noticed people have a strong need for task lists these days. So I've done my best to create as much variety as I could.